Oshogbo is the capital of Osun State, a Yoruba-speaking state in western Nigeria. It is in the same state as Ile-Ife, but don't confuse them for each other as they both have significance to Yoruba culture and religion separately. Oshogbo has a population of about 820,000, according to a 2016 estimate. Oshogbo is gotten from the compounding of two Yoruba words, Osho meaning wizard and Igbo meaning forest. In ancient times, every kingdom often has sacred forests that protected it. Civilization has cut off many, but the Osun-Oshogbo sacred grove still remains to date, all thanks to an Austrian artist, Susan Wenger. Talking about art, which would be the focus of our episode today, Oshogbo is fondly referred to as Ile-Aro, meaning the house of Dye, and today I'll let you know just why.
Oshogbo is home of art, and Oshogbo is home of indigenous dye. From the onset, when people want to talk about Oshogbo, there is a certain song they used to sing to let anybody knows that indigenous dye Arokoko is from Oshogbo, not from Abeokuta. You cannot compare the dye in Oshogbo with Abeokuta, because Oshogbo is the origin. They used to sing that song like this: on the Aro ni nbe nílùú Òṣogbo l'Òṣogbo fi ń wuni, ènìyàn ní nbe nílùú Ìbàdàn, Ìbàdàn fi ń wúyàn. To let you know that Oshogbo is the home of indigenous dye. Even when we are talking of Adire, that is the hand-painted Adire with cassava paste, is from Oshogbo, is from Ibadan, not from Abeokuta. This arrow they do in Abeokuta is being inherited from Oshogbo, Ibadan to Abeokuta. There is a woman we call Mama Sodeinde in 18 something. She is the one who came to learn about indigenous Adire and Arokoko in Ibadan and Oshogbo. When it's perfectly okay in Ibadan and Oshogbo, then the woman decided that the woman is from Abeokuta. It's an Egba woman, and she decided to move down to Abeokuta. That is how he get to Abeokuta. When he get to Abeokuta, he has to train people who doesn't know about this work. And the people of Egba land, they embrace this work. They embrace the dyeing process, how to dye clothes, how to do Adire, Eleko. They embrace it. That is how they become professional in dye. But the origin of indigenous dye is Oshogbo. Aro ní nbe nílùú Òṣogbo l'Òṣogbo fi ń wuni, ènìyàn ní nbe nílùú Ìbàdàn, Ìbàdàn fi ń wúyàn. The way we put the dye, the way we tie it before we dye it, you cannot compare our work with how a Egba woman will compare their own.
Ẹ máa ní àjànrété jà. Àjànrété jà.
Alum, normal alum, and colored alum that people used to call somiru. We mix them together, prepare the cassava flour as if we want to make the paste. We want to make our pap. Then after then, we started putting it in hot water, using your rolling stick to roll it until the cassava flour you are mixing turns brown. That is when you can use it to make this type of Adire, because this is indigenous Adire. We call this design for Abebe. This design we call it flower. This is Oya. This is Oya, and this is circle of life, and so on and so forth. All these designs, they have been taken from they have been named by our olden days great grandmother that started this work even before my father was born. Before I was born, you can see this is Orokun Aro. This is flour. This is agbole. This is birds. This is another agbole, but not food. And this is talking drum. This is flower also. And this is okun. And this is alangba berekete, flat lizard. And this is mirror. Why this one is barbed wire? Why this one is Muslim tira? Muslim tira, and this is issue. There's another pattern that looks like this. We call it bitter kola nut, orugbo, that look like yam design. All these, they are all from indigenous Adire that we are doing in Osun.
Ilẹ̀ pẹ̀lú Ọlọ́run, wọ́n bá pẹ̀lú ẹmọ́ kan, ilẹ̀ lóhùn làgbà, Ọlọ́run lóhùn lẹ̀gbọ́n, ilẹ̀ bá mú ẹkú ẹmọ́ lọ, Ọlọ́run bá bínú lọ sọ́run, òjò bá.
And talk of dyeing process. When we are talking of dyeing process, this is indigo leaves being pounded before we make it like a tennis ball, and like a tennis ball like this. The reason why we make it like this, we dye it, we make it like this to preserve it. During the dry season like this, we don't have enough leaves in the indigo leaves. So when we do it like this, we dye it, we dry it, then we preserve it. Whenever we want to make our dye during the dry season, and we don't need to go and get the fresh leaves. We just got about 100 balls or 200 balls of this one. Then we put it in a pot. When we put it in a pot, then we add some local herbs under. And while we are doing that, this is cocoa pod. This is cocoa skin. This is cocoa skin, cocoa pod, the pod of cocoa. We dry it. As it is dry like this, we set it to fire, it becomes an ashes. When it becomes an ashes, then we put it, we put water on it, on the ashes. And the filtrate from the cocoa pod ash, we use the water join with the dye balls. We use the water join with the dye balls. When we use the water join with the dye balls, then after 7 to 14 days, when it has fermented, then we started dyeing our clothes. It's non-chemical. You don't need to put hydrosulfide. You don't need to put caustic soda. You don't need to put any dye. When you put the filtrate from cocoa pod ash with this one in a pot and you allow it to ferment for 7 to 14 days, then you are okay. It will give you deep indigo color like the one you are seeing inside the shop.
These are other indigenous items used for the making of tie and dye, alum and an indigenous crystal called somiro. Also, this is cassava paste that have been used to paint those patterns on the material. I asked Babede how much it would cost to purchase these items, and the price, well, really surprised me.
Yes.
About how much will it cost me?
The 5 years of this one is 30,000.
5 years?
Yes. Because it's hand painted Adire with cassava paste with indigenous dye. The one without the indigenous dye, that it was just color imported dye like this. We sold this one for 20.
For 5 years?
For 5 years. But the indigenous one, the indigenous dye is 25, 30. Depending how it looks like.